And what looks good? My name is Rafael. You see my manager, Steve Mixes, if you guys were here already. So I'm the line maintenance supervisor for the Ross Valley. And I've been there for 18 years. Started basically from the bottom up, okay, trainee. So I had to learn a lot of things. So, and with this new thing that the district's doing, I think it's pretty cool. So hope we can share some new stuff with you guys. Okay, you guys can maybe share some stuff with me too. That'd be good. Let me see if I can run this right. Okay. For those who weren't here in the last session, Ross Valley is located in the San Rafael area. That's kind of the photography we have. I'll share a couple things of the Ross Valley, what the district is like, and what we're up against. So, a couple things. We've been there a long time. Okay. So we're mostly residential. We convey. There's not a lot of manufacturing where we're at from. Also, we are GPA with some of the two other cities in there that we have. We have 200 miles of gravity sewer. Okay, so that's quite a bit there. We also have 19 pump stations, and some of our lift stations also part of that. So that also gives us a different aspect of it. So not just having to deal with the sewer lines. We have 4, and in the dry weather we have 4 MGD, and in the wet weather 50 MGD. So quite a bit different. That's a big difference. So, and if you were here the last course with Steve here, he explained why the condition assessment that what we're up at. We also have 35 employees in the district, and we have a 19.5 million O&M budget. So right now we're doing the 48 million capital budget improvement on that. So a lot of stuff going on. But the reason I'm here for is in 2009, 2012, we hit a perfect storm at the district. We got into quite a bit of mess. There was a bunch of SSOs going on. There was about 3 SSOs per day. Okay, so that was quite a bit going on during that time. We also had leadership failure, financial meltdown, and I think one of the biggest things was the community trust was lost. Okay, so really bad. So we were, what to do? So we had to rebuild Ross Valley. It's what they started doing with the new leadership coming in, started basing it on the effective utility management. That was one of the bases to start it. They had to start somewhere, right? So they started using that to rebuild the framework of the Ross Valley. They also did the risk-based management. And this was important because I really think it is because the whole system was breaking down. If you were up in that case, I don't know if you guys, your districts are, but what do you do first? Everything's failing. Everything's failing. What do you attack first? What do you do? So they developed a risk management thing. Definitely that helped out. And then there was rate increases. Another help because economically going down. Then 2005 was a big thing for us. Reorg. Has anybody gone through a reorg around here? Anybody? Yeah? And we have the same fun, man. So it's kind of quite interesting, I would say. You can talk to some of our guys here during that time. Then they did a strategic plan for that. And before it was kind of interesting. That was basically during the year they would say, "Oh, this looks like a good project," and you start doing it. No planning. But now it was stabilized. A year before, what was going to happen the next year? That also helped out. They started attending to the CASA collection systems of the future. Our general manager started involving the agency in that in looking for recommendations. Okay, but even with that on hand, one of the things that they came upon and started seeing was they can have all this stuff, the increases and all that, but was the staff skills, knowledge, and abilities. What they had to look into it. And I'll explain a little more when we get through it. Everybody was doing something different. Okay, and I'll tell you from my experience. I started in the Ross Valley, and I was taught one way for many things, right? And but what was the right way? So then now with this one here, they started noticing that they were having some difficulties. So with that in mind, they started implementing a couple things, and that was the workforce development. But during that course, they had to ask themselves a couple questions. We had people helping. It wasn't just us. We had somebody come in and started asking these questions. What objective criteria was going to be used for the critical work assignments? Okay, so how to answer that. Also, what about how do you measure the knowledge and skills abilities of all job qualifications? How are we going to do about that? You know, and the training and qualification process and that aspect of it. In your agency, who qualifies to train somebody? What do you guys? Who does that? You get a new guy. What do you do?
Take it out of the hat.
Supervisor, right? Somebody, and somebody just to say, foreman, the more experienced, right? Supposedly, right? He gets it. So I'll talk a little bit more of that, but just keep that in mind, okay? How that process is done. So then, what they started to develop at the Ross Valley was the what looks good there at Ross Valley. Not another agency, but Ross Valley. What do they want? That's what they were trying to achieve in that part of it. They also wanted to figure out how to measure things, because you can't leave it on somebody's opinion. You got to put specific things on productivity and quality outcomes throughout the crews that we're starting to establish. And for the Ross Valley, these guys right here, some of my co-workers here, we have a lot of things to do. And some of it, over 60 standard activities we had to be measured on, okay? What that basis was. And right now, there wasn't really an criteria, but he was doing kind of what they wanted in and what they were told, and that kind of stuff. And you ask somebody, hey, why are you doing it that way? That's the way I was told, right? That's how I was trained.
No, you guys didn't even get a standard book or something to follow, a standard book?
No, we didn't yet. This is where we're at right now. It's just kind of, you ask somebody, they go, that's how I was told, or that's how I was trained, and that's how we always done it. Part of the process we did. We didn't have anything real. It was just basically people got different information from different people, and they just kind of made their own criteria. So then the district started deciding, well, where do they want it to be, And then they started implementing the leadership, employee and leadership development on that, because the prior leadership didn't quite make it, right? So this is something new. Then also needed the management to recognize that they needed to support all this stuff. And for long-term staffing also, we wanted to be able to be trained, competent workforce across activities. Okay, and systems also. Establish certification was one of the things that they were trying to achieve, and document processes. And I'll go a little more later about SOPs, but you'll see why that was so important, because we didn't have any before. No SOPs, no everybody kind of doing what they wanted to do or how they were showed by the senior person, right? So.
Secretary.
Secretary. Yeah. They also wanted to consider the new equipment or task systems in hand of that. And within that, wanted to consider the safety and efficient outcomes across the crews. So that's some of the things that they wanted to demonstrate. So leadership, once again, how to recognize the value, okay, of the workforce. Sometimes they're all separate. We go management over here and the workers over here. Management had to recognize the importance of the workforce, to be able to give the proper training and just work together. So that started developing the time. They also had to commit staff time and money, to the and also have leadership engagement, okay, talks about that. The Ross Valley started with their insurance. I don't know if you guys know this, the CRMA. I don't know if you guys are part of that insurance pool. okay, but we are over there with a couple agencies, and started with them with the development of the SOPs, okay, because they said, hey, you gotta have these things. So it started with them, but it wasn't enough. So then afterwards, we got some help, outside help, and started engaging in this development of the SOPs. And I'm gonna talk about the SOPs and how they all work, okay, being the fundamental part of it. By the use of these professional people too, started developing a system of training, okay? We're working on that process right now too, to train, okay? Then implementing competency based training and certification standards, okay? So, like I asked you guys in the beginning, who says that person is qualified or competent, you know? At the end of the day, it's gonna be management. It's gonna say that person's, it's not gonna be the supervisor, or he said not the secretary, right? So it's gonna be, the management's gonna be able to say that. But we're gonna find out, is it just hey, yeah, you're certified? We're gonna find out what this kind of process, what it takes to be competent. Then they also looked at different ranges of activities to the workforce, what needs to be done, and they did it in two phases. They broke it down between pump stations and collection systems, and that. It was a 2-year implementation. It took us it's not, so when you hear me talk about this, don't think it's like, wow, this guy got it all dialed in. It's taking, yeah, we're still going. We started with a 2-year, okay? And when I first heard the guy say, yeah, it's gonna take about 2 years, I'm like, I don't even know, like, that's gonna go. So, but it's going, and time goes really quick. So that was the start. And then what they did too, they did a training committee. They started developing it, and they're still developing it. That's part of it. What needs to be and what they're looking for, and I think we're working on that one still. But anyway, look up in the top. These are some of the activities that we do. Maybe similar to your guys's. Well, I don't know. One of the, I think the biggest ones for us is pump stations. We have to deal with that. I think the pump stations are kind of hard because you really can't train somebody until something fails, right? It's like, how do you train that, you know? Troubleshooting especially. So that was a hard one. They did also piece on that. They're still working on modifying, but these are some of the activities that we do at the Ross Valley. I think the biggest thing for the Ross Valley was what was going to look good for them. I think each of the agencies yourselves have to ask yourself, what is good looks like, you know? You look at that, ask yourself. And I asked you this question already. Who determines when an employee is competent for a task? You know, I remember, and they always ask me, come to me, Rafael, the management will come, is he ready? Yeah, you know, but was it my opinion? That was kind of scary. Because here's the big question. What basis or documentation did I use to determine that? They used me. And that's where we're at right now. We have the SOPs become that document to determine if a person is. If you don't have that, you're basically doing it just an opinion. Because you didn't write down anything, you didn't follow anything, you just kind of, yeah, he did the controls right or whatever aspect you asked for him. So you gotta have some type of documentation, and this is how we started. We got somebody to help us out, so it's not us, okay? We didn't develop this. We had somebody help us out. Maintain tracking, okay? And we're working on that process right now, tracking where each employee's at, what kind of trainings they have, and if they passed it or not yet. We started with the SOPs. The SOPs was important, and we're still keep working on them. And I'm gonna say why we're still working on it, because the SOP is a living document. Have you guys ever had anybody develop your own SOPs outside your agency? Anybody? No. Most of them, if they do, they're written by somebody who doesn't know the stuff, they're going through the manuals, and they just sit on the shelf, okay? With the development of the SOPs, we really took consideration of the staff, one of the field guys to tell us what it is. Now with that, we found a couple things out, and I'll talk about that too towards the end. The field guys are the experts, subject matter experts, right? Who does it more? They do. So I kind of like that process of it. I thought the management was going to take over and do it all. Like, oh man, who knows what this is going to turn out like, you know? So, but at the end, I really like the development. We took the SOPs, we told them, now when there was a situation where two different opinions, somebody had to make a decision on that. So that was developed through the discussions, okay? Because there was a couple of things that we did not agree as collection system workers or field guys, and then at the end, the management had to decide what process, what did they want to do, okay? So, but it finally came along. We're still working on it because, like I said, it's a living document on that. From that, then you develop the tasks and systems from the SOP. And from the tasks and systems, you can develop what you need to train on. Okay, so if you have the SOP, you got all you can identify the tasks, and then you can know what you got to train on. So you can see how it's important for the SOP development of that. And then they also started doing train the trainer. That was interesting because, can anybody be a trainer? What do you guys think? All right.
Good.
Yeah. Like me, man, I might know a subject, but I don't know if I'm a good trainer. Right, so that all depends. So they started doing, they also started conducting training a person to be a trainer too. And I think that's going to keep developing as time goes. And this is where we're at right now. We're on the assessment part of it. Because we have journeyman already there. What they're trying to do, the agency is saying, okay, so I've been here for 18 years, right? But what do I really know? So now the SOP's been developed. They have it in hand. Hey, Rafael, this is the task, these things, show us. To assess me if I know it. Okay? Now they know what I know. Now they're only going to concentrate on what I don't know. That's what the assessment part of it is. And that's where we're at right now at the moment. We're trying to get that going to assess everybody. I like it because it's not about putting down on somebody, but it's trying to really upbuild them. That's the mentality that the district's going, and that's where I like it too. It's not making, well, this guy's not worth it. No, it's about, hey, we need to get this guy to this aspect. I really enjoy that part of it, and I do believe it, and I think they're going forward with that. So let me talk a little bit of the SOP. So here we go. So we have the SOP all set. As you can see, part of it there, and the field staff developed it. There was a couple things that we had to do to develop the SOP. We did a depth investigation on it. I can tell you some very examples of the SOP that they did. We're doing the background right now, and I'm going to go through it. The manual, for example, the SOP said, the manual said you have to grease this truck every day. Daily, right? Okay. So we were finding out when we started doing the SOP that, hey, we can't do that. Because we're not using the truck 10 hours a day for that. We're actually blowing out seals. So we found out that our SOP was not going to follow the manual. It was going to follow our process for that. That was a really good example, man. Those 90s, if you guys see those 90s. And
were you sitting on the phone?
Well, we were blowing out the seals and that. They're lasting a little longer now, but it's because we were following the manual on that thing. But doing the transition of developing the SOP, somebody questions, hey, this keeps happening. What are we going to do? So the SOP, we say, we put a time in there what we can do. So that was interesting. That's just a little example there. The outcomes of the tasks also. Now we have the SOP, we have all the tasks. Now we can see what people need to know and the skill competencies. And from that also, they also started doing the job descriptions for that, what was necessary to run that, or what the person needed to know. And safety also. We found a couple safety processes that we weren't doing. Okay, so that also came in hand. That was pretty cool. And process review. I like this part of it because the person who showed us this was on process review that you don't leave this on the shelf again, your SOP. You got to come back and check it because there might be something different some people might be doing. So all right? So the SOP, if you look at the highlighted on the red there, these are the tasks at hand, what they have, that the person needs to know to do, okay? If you look there, decanning, vacuuming, those are all tasks that the person needs to know. So now you can check to see their skill, their knowledge and skills of that. You actually have them do it. And the questions that with the help of these people who came in, a contractor, said these are the questions that you ask the person, okay? Because somebody can just write down an answer, but actually have them talk to you, see what they really know. Ask them these questions. What are the steps to this procedure? What are the reasons for each of these steps? You know, you let them answer. What control or coordination is required to run some of this stuff? You know, and what safety precautions must be observed? So you have the person actually telling you this. So now you're evaluating them and analyzing what they know, right? So. Then the guy helped us out. Then he says, okay, now you know your tasks. What about the systems? What is a PTO? What does it do? How does it engage that? And what types of models do we have? Yeah, all these questions were part of the we're going to be getting into when they assess us. He's not going to be here, run the machine on it. We actually got to explain things so the person actually knows what they're doing. You would also ask the person, hey, what type of maintenance is done, right? So, you know, like what that guy said, well, this is how I was told, and it showed. You ask them to explain to you. They have to have an understanding of what they're actually doing. So it's kind of cool, okay? And big one, what are the probable indications of failure? I think like you take on like the pump stations, I think it's a whole different ballgame. But you know, how do you know this thing's going on wrong? I have the back on here, but on the pump stations, a pipe fails, yeah, I can deal with that. A pump fails, you better hurry up, man. We got some stuff on it. Yeah, we just had that happen in one of our pump stations. it didn't turn on, so. Then the next step is also the training part of it. And so we trying to eliminate the class part of it and get it more hands-on. This is one of the classes we did, and I think it's going to keep doing it more. Small time in the classroom, more hands-on. That's what they want. That's because then, I don't know about you guys, but I learn more when I'm actually doing it than just sitting in the classroom, you know, like right now.
This is a guide.
Yeah, this is a guide, so the training part of it. So we have the SOP, we have the development, and then we have the training part of it here. You gotta follow all of those in place. So this is some of the courses we did a SSO simulation. The guy came out, and I think we're probably gonna do it again because it's necessary. I like this one. We talked about the trainer, and I took some of the classes, some other all of us too did. Some of the staff train the trainer. We said it's an art, right? And this part of it, they also trained us to be a trainer. Now, during the assessment, what they're thinking about doing to see if we qualify to be a trainer. If we don't, maybe show us where we need to improve, okay? Because remember in the beginning I said, when I said somebody's qualified, it was my opinion. Well, it's not going to be that anymore. It's going to run off the SOP there to qualify. And then me as a trainer, the SOP is not spelled out word by word each step. I have to integrate that extra information necessary to explain to the operator that if I'm training the person, I'm explaining that. But they're also training me to make sure that I know how to train so that they're getting the right outcome for it. The Ross Valley is trying to go to that. I'll be honest, that's where I think it's going to be a kind of an interesting situation to see who's going to be a real trainer and who's just going to, be able to assess. The assessor can be one, but the trainer, the person who's actually giving the information, showing that person, can be two different people. So that's what we're trying to decide on that right now. A system was developed where it keeps track of each employee's performance, okay, from the tasks, from the SOP, remember? They develop a questionnaire there. Has this person passed this or not? That's the development of it. There's actually a software for that. If you're keeping a track, I've seen some people keep track of an Excel spreadsheet. You know, you can for a while, but this software actually keeps the employee in all the different machineries and different tasks that they need to learn. If you're doing changing out rod, if you're using the harbin, if you're using the vacuum combination, if you got the pumps like from the guys here who, those are all inputted. Okay, so somebody in management leaves, right? That information is still going to stick around. Sometimes they leave and whatever, they had their own little script going on, but now we have a software that they're going to keep track of. And when they do the assessment, that's what we're going to be put into. If I fail, I don't want to say fail, but if I didn't meet the qualification for the skills and knowledge, they're going to say no to that. They're going to come back to me and try to help me out on that one specific thing. Okay? You asked about if we do people with certification. So with this program, what they're trying to do is this. Let's say I got two people, I got two new hires. One just came as a truck driver, and one came in as a certification class 3, okay, grade 3. I will put him through my SOP with the task things, see what he does, and then I will only train him on what's necessary. Okay, that's going to be it. The truck driver, he came in, trainee, he's going to go through the whole thing. Okay, so that's how we put, you can't do it, you can't check that guy out if he's competent with a grade 3 until you have the SOPs and the tasks. So that's important, you have to have that, because if you don't, you're going on your personal opinion again. You got to have those tasks on the SOP that I showed you so you can evaluate them.
It's on the knowledge of your equipment at Ross Valley.
Exactly.
It doesn't matter that you came from another district. You have to meet the minimum standards of Ross Valley Sanitary District.
Bingo, that's it, exactly, yeah.
If you can get, there's no time limit, it's as fast. If I'm knowledgeable on certain equipment, you run me through the competency-based stuff, and I can complete it in, 4 or 5 weeks, and I'm signed off by the trainer or the supervisor. They're all trained trainers, but I can move through faster. There's no time limit on.
Yeah, that's a good point. Thank you for that. That's a good point, because I asked the question because how long do you have to have somebody competent, because you got to pass it, like Phil said, and I like the point, is that it's based on everybody's learning abilities. Okay, your learning ability might be a lot faster, maybe I'm slower. It's going to take me more time. So depending on the individual, you can run faster through it, or if he needs a little more help, you give him that right way. You give him the training, again, based on your SOP. So this helps it out. Well, thank you for that. Yeah, so it's not based on a time frame. It's based on the ability for that person to capture that information, the skills. Okay? So that'll keep track of that. We have a little note here. They used a lot. We train to the delta. This is what we want everybody to be. Okay? Whoever's here is trying to get us up to the same level of knowledge and skills. That's what the main objective is. I like that, because at first, when I first seen this program, it's like, oh man, they're gonna be firing some people here, right? So, but that wasn't the point. The point was try to help everybody to the same level. Okay, so when you say somebody's competent, you knew because you have a basis procedure on that, and they passed and they demonstrated, not just a written form, but they demonstrated. That's part of it. And you're keeping track of what things they're able to pass and what they didn't pass. You concentrate only on those things, so you don't spend unnecessary time with them. We did learn a couple things. One of the things that we learned is you have to look for outside help. Okay? Man, I thought we were smart. But in reality, we had to look for outside help. The guy who's helped us develop this, he's very intrusive into some questions that I said, oh, this is the way you're going to do it. He's all, why do you do it that way? And I'm going, just because. And then he looked into more information. He looked at the vendors. He looked at, a prime example was I said the hose at the end of the vac-on, or the combination, the lead hose. I'm going, is it really necessary? Okay, there was a question on it. Why can't we just put tape on it? All right. And somebody said, well, it's made for storm, and it's for a bunch of stuff. And finally, when we looked it up and we checked it out, it's just an indicator. Mm-hmm. You get into what? Oh, it's just an indicator. you know? But then we started going, what lengths do you have it? 10 feet, 20 feet, 25 feet? You know, so we learned a lot of stuff. And then basically the Ross Valley said, this will be the length for us. So all that kind of stuff you learn, lessons learned. Quote the guy does for us, he says, how do you need an elephant? Yeah, well, I don't need an elephant personally, but anyways. He says a bite at a time, right? So you gotta be realistic. If you're gonna take this task on, competency based training and check out your 4 course, yeah, get ready, it's a long term. We're still at it, what is it, 4 years Phil now?
Yeah.
4 years?
I think it's right around there.
Yeah, 4 years, so it's...
We still haven't, and we're still working on the assessment process.
Yeah.
So people come in, we're gonna do outside, people are coming in to do the initial assessment, so there's no, you know, not saying Rockland's any better than you. They're gonna train it, they're gonna assess everybody, and then they'll write a training module to the Delta, and then it'll be passed to the supervisors or train the trainers to go over those modules.
And that's a great one. It's a great point. Okay, that's the one of the things with lessons learned is that we're going to make sure that it's not us judging our own guys.
So you guys,
On the initial.
On the initial.
like you said, a standard book, and you guys develop your own standard book on how to install, maintain the system?
Each SOP for each of the tasks, is developed. So we have, I think, like the pump stations has, oh man, 100.
Yeah, there's like 100.
So each one of those, and they have to pass those tests to be assessed.
Not tests.
Tests. Assess, yeah. That's the assessment. Assess, yeah, I got
Don't scare people with tests.
I know. They're gonna be assessed.
They have to know the knowledge, the minimum knowledge of whatever the standard answers that the employees from the district came up with. So they took field guys, supervisors, management, put us all together. We all came up with the things, and then they will assess you and tell you the standard answers as you're going through it. And all the standard answers are in the SOP. So it's not like you're going to be pulled a fast one, like, you know, how do you know a pump's ragged, or where's the vac, you know, it's all in the SOP. So,
So the SOP is you can see already how the fundamentals.
Yeah.
That's your foundation. If you don't have that, you can't enter into doing this course for competency based, because it's going to be just your opinion. You got to have everybody in, and have everybody on board. Again, that's what we said, and once your SOPs are developed, now from there you can do the knowledge and skills. Okay, what the person needs to know. We have support right now with outside vendors helping us out to capture this, and we're organizing in institutional knowledge too, which is very important because a lot of people are retiring, right? Once that person leaves, what happens to that knowledge? It goes, right? It just goes. So if you don't capture it in the SOP, their knowledge at that moment, it's gone. So this is kind of, for institutional, for us, was another part of it what we wanted to do. So it's part of the learning lessons too. Hey, it's not just for showing people, it's capturing that knowledge, man. You know, we didn't take it also as trying to maintain knowledge. We also took it in the sense that, hey, help us out. So that was another part of it we also learned for it. Retention. And we also, from that, we also understood that the job qualifications, what a person needs to, on their job description, what they need to know too. And what, I think some of the job descriptions were changed also to reflect some of these things. Like, for example, when the job description wasn't there, condition assessment before. That got changed to reflect that this individual needs to know that in the job description. So that was kind of cool too. But main thing, team, you need good trainers. You need your subject matter experts, okay? And like I said, not everybody's made to be a trainer. And then got my good people here. Okay. These guys' face should be good too right now. Yeah. So that you gotta have good people, man. At the end, everybody has to help out. It's not a one-man show, okay? It really isn't. So on that. That's my manager. My people here in the other class. That was him, and then that's me over there. Any questions?
Are you guys gonna look into using, like, say, so we have a task list, a training and development checklist. So before you can get to the next step in your position, you need to show competency in these many steps. So like you would break down your SOPs. If you want to go to a step 2, you need to show us you can do these 10 SOPs. Are you guys going to roll any of that into the way we're doing things over there?
They are going to start, and one of the ones they're going to start with, and it's not fully implemented yet, but they're working on it. It's basically going to be one, because of all of us being journeymen right now, they're going to do what's called on-call. They're going to use whatever it takes to do that. They're going to start with that.
So
Try to
you
get
show
everybody.
you can do those before you can take call.
Well, now we're going to be grandfathered in.
Yeah, but the new guys or whatever, yeah.
That's going to be the primary thing. So for us, it's going to be, you're still in there, but we want to help you improve at least a part of it that you haven't quite demonstrated yet. But it's going to be a checklist, but our checklist is going to be on the software.
Yeah.
It's going to be permanently on there.
Everything's to a standard answer.
Yeah.
What
That makes sense.
makes it nice, you guys
Well,
are
I'm
all,
just saying, you know, so like,
You're all doing it
most
the same
positions
way.
have a 5-step
We've had
thing. If you want to go to
issues
step 2, get your raise.
This person
you
wants
need
to do it
show
this way.
As much competency.
It's not
that person wants to do it that way.
Yeah, that's
See,
right.
if you have a standard, so they're doing all the same.
Yeah, exactly.
We have a problem with that.
Well, what you guys can do, we did, we had 2 collection system workers, have it 2 different ways, and they have to just talk it out. What is it? Why do you say yours is your way? And at the end, if they can't come to an agreement on the SOP, you put,
What's the step? You have something?
yeah, you put it, but you guys, as the management, you have to, okay, at the end goes, okay, I listen to both sides, they can't come to an agreement, we have to make a decision. For standard operation, this is important to understand. For standard operation, we're gonna do it this way, for training. When something's not out of the standard, we as a district have decided to go, if that's not a standard situation you're up against, you can deviate from the SOP. That's important to understand. You're
Now,
not
maybe situations, in most cases, are different.
Yeah,
You can't just, this is the way it's gonna be.
bingo.
It's gotta be.
So that's important to understand with the SOP. So it's not like a solid rock says, this is it, man, you can't deviate from that. No, if it's not standard, you just, the district came to the sense of explain why you did it that way. In a logical form, explain. Okay, oh, sounds good. And then, well, I have found out where some of the SOPs that I just did a work order system service call, and I wrote it down and found out, I was like, cool, I got it, man. And then started using it. It wasn't that cool.
That's so cool.
It wasn't so cool.
SOP is just a standard for like,
Yeah.
it's not like the tacit knowledge you have out there, like when repairs, we might run into something where you can't follow the SOP, but the process of setting the repair up,
Yeah.
safety, all that is in the SOP, but as long as you can't deviate from that in the SOP. The first question in the trainer is what do you do? If I want you to go to the back hall, what's the first thing you do? The first thing you're going to say is, I refer to Ross Valley Standard Operating Procedure.
Yeah, exactly.
That's your first question. If you get that, that's
Moving on.
You're moving on. The first thing is you refer to the SOP, not what you think, or the very first question.
Someone said, yeah.
Everybody, yeah, it's not, it's refer to the SOP.
I had some trouble with that because I'm like, man, they're giving me the SOP, they're like giving me the answer sheet away. Yeah, I'm like, that's not right. How do you know this guy really does it? The point is not that. I had to embed it in myself. It's not having them the answer. They're going to need the answer still, but they have to demonstrate the skills, okay? You want everybody to pass, you want everybody to be familiar.
The skills and the knowledge, then you got the skills, so you train.
Bingo. The knowledge is one, the skills is the other. That's why you have both of them. You got it right on the...
In all the trainers, it's not their, like Rob was saying, it's not an opinion. It's, he can go, even though he's a maintenance supervisor, he can come train on the repair crew because the modules are set up for the trainer. He's gonna ask the questions that I already know on the SOP, even though he's not the repair supervisor, he can still assess me and sign me off because it's not his opinion what I know. He's following a module.
Standardized.
And it's a standardized question that he's gonna know, I'm gonna know, he's gonna know, everybody. It doesn't matter what assessor's giving it to you. It's not his opinion saying, hey, I don't think Bill over here is good enough.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter, he's gonna check yes or no. He demonstrated that minimum task at Ross Valley Sanitary District.
Yeah, and we're like, if you guys have different people having different ideas, just work to one. It doesn't say you cannot use the other one, but when you train to that one. And the guy who's helping us develop this, he says, always tell the people, there's multiple ways to do things, but right now, we're gonna train you this way.
Well, you're right. Multiple. It's fine, but
Yeah.
all the time.
Yeah, that's And I had to change my way too in a couple things.
What was this big guy that helps us? He says if we're gonna use opinion,
Yeah.
why not just use, if we're gonna base it off of opinions, then we'll just use mine. Not yours.
Yeah,
So we've eliminated what your opinion is.
But the guy who's helping us out, he does the course a lot. He's got all the programs, the software for that, for the information. He's working on that. We're still on the assessment part of it. I'm still kind of waiting for that. Because it's very interesting. But I like the idea of we're not gonna go off to like try to fire somebody. It's not about that. It's about training everybody to the same. And I really have that in my head.
Same page,
Yeah, the same page. I mean, you know. So
That was the first thing they brought in when we did the competency and the JLMCs. The first thing the general manager said and told everybody, this is not for demoting, firing, or disciplinary actions. That it takes you 50 times to learn that task, they're going to teach you 50 times. If you have to learn it from him or another, they'll do whatever it takes to get you to the minimum standards of, and the field staff basically came up with the minimum standard answers. So with the supervisor, you know, I mean, everybody had input, so it's not like,
Well, that's what it should be.
yeah, so they did it, it's a pretty good program.
it's a pretty program. And
Sounds good.
Yeah, it's going to take some more time to keep developing. So when I do this presentation, please don't think that, oh, these guys are all golden. No, but it's a progress. What I do like about it, somebody went to the service call and doing some work orders because we have the computerized system. And he says, well, I did it this way. I said, it was cool because I go, what does the SOP say how to do it? It was actually cool. It was cool. Follow the SOP. Follow that first. And he's like, oh, I'm going, did he follow it? Well, I didn't know where to find it. Why don't we show you on the phone?
Yeah.
Okay? And I showed him on the phone, and it was kind of cool because it was coaching, but just feedback for them to get into the mode. So it was pretty cool. So, anybody have more questions? No, man, I'm good, man. That was much, right? I think. All right.
Good job.
Thanks a lot, guys.
You-